Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. We're going to put together a LAMP server. But before, let's review what we did last week. We started off the video by receiving a computer from a good buddy, Mike. He actually donated a server to us at Technology Bob. We actually go through and figure out that it is actually a T320. We struggle getting Rocky to install on it. It takes quite a bit of time to actually get Rocky on there. We do discover that the CPU that's in this server will not support Rocky 10.1, so we end up putting Rocky 9.7 on there. We have to switch the battery on the computer board because it's dead. Rocky takes a while to install, but once we get it installed, we move it into the office. And this is where we actually go through a little bit of what Rocky is. We set a static IP, we download webmin, and we install it. What we talked about earlier about adding a web server and MySQL and phpMyAdmin, PHP, all these other packages that we want to add onto this server. Well, the first thing I did was I jumped out here onto this server and I actually pulled up what we installed last week and called webmin. If we log into webmin, we can see here that we have packages. Package updates are available, which 7 are security patches. So let's click on this and see if it'll give us an option to what's actually available. All right, so let's go ahead, PHP 3, kernel tools. We're gonna go ahead through here, through webmin. This is how easy this is. And I know it's a GUI interface, but there is some tools that we're gonna be dealing with over the next few packages that this is going to probably come in real handy so we don't forget things. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just do it. But let's update the selected packages, and this is going to update the packages for us. So we don't have to do a DNF install or update or something like that. This is actually going to run the command for us. As was mentioned earlier, we're going to create a LAMP server. LAMP stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So one of the first things that we want to do is we already have the Linux version of the LAMP, L. We want to set up Apache. Apache is our web server. I am going to see if I can install Apache through webmin. So let's do it right now. Let's go into servers. Let's go to Apache web server. All right, and let's see what we have here. Existing virtual host. Okay, we want to create a virtual host, global configuration. We probably need to install Apache. I don't think it's going to let us install Apache. Yeah, this will let us configure it. I don't think this will install it for us. So let's do that. Let's first download Apache and get it installed here. Let's do what I do a lot of times. Let's see what they say on Google. Now, one thing I wanted to point out before we keep going, you'll notice that I still use Google when setting things up like this. The reason is simple. I could probably fumble around and get everything installed correctly. There is always package changes. There's different procedures, there's different methods, and there's usually something important I didn't even think about. That's one of the realities of working in technology. Nobody remembers anything anymore. Knowing how to find good information is just as important as knowing the commands themselves. Let's see what it says. Update Y, we already did that. Install HTTPY. Well, this is pretty straightforward. We're gonna probably have to configure the firewall down in here. So what we will do is I will jump on a different screen here and we will walk through this config here. All right, then we'll go jump back in. All right, here we are on the server in a command terminal. First command was update. So let's go ahead and run. I'm already in root, so I'm not going to do a sudo. So let's do a DNF. We've already did this, but update. I want to follow the directions correctly as far as what Google says. All right. Nothing to do. That's what I thought. I thought we were complete. So let's do the DNF. And we may already have Apache installed on here. Because I thought I selected it, but it may not be configured, and I'm too lazy to go out and it's complete. See, it's already installed. I thought it was. We just didn't actually have it running. So we're going to do a system control enable Apache now. System control now HTTPD. Let's check the status. Well, I got to type the command right. All right, it looks like we're running. What I used to do is a lot of times I wouldn't run the system control. I would do a PS-E and then grep. I think it's HTTP, and it shows that there is several of them running. It shows the daemon running. That's what I would do to always check to make sure it was alive. There's other commands you can use, but this is what I did. All right. I do know that we're probably going to have to add the service to the firewall. So we're going to run the command firewall command permanent. We want to add the service. We want to add HTTP to the firewall. All right. We also want to add HTTPS secure. Then we want to reload it. All right, we want to reload the firewall is what we want to do. All right, the firewall's reloaded. Now, we should be able to now access this web server from Google. So I will switch again to another window. Let's type in the address up here, 192.168.0.243. It's not 1000. We just want to get rid of that and hit enter. All right, our web server is running. As you can see here, Apache is all set up. Apache is running. All right, so let's edit config files. Let's see what this has here. This actually has server root, HTTPD, listen to port 80, include config, user Apache, group Apache. We might want to change this to web user. So server admin, root local host, override deny. Document root is var www.html. So all this is all set up to allow, and we may set up virtual host later, and which when we install a CMS, we're going to use a CMS called Drupal. I haven't used that for, since 2012, I think, was the last time I used Drupal. But I created a few websites with it, and it's really a nice CMS. I mean, it's changed a little bit, but it's still the same in a way. All right, so we have this. We're going to return to global. Let's check miscellaneous is out. We don't really need anything here. Main map, filters, per directory options, edit, define, configure files. All right, what we really want to do now is we have this right here, which is the default. But if we jump in there and we create a HTML file in that directory, I will show you. I'm going to grab one and then I'll jump over to the other screen and I'll show you that we can put a file in there and it'll show up on this screen. Let me show you what I did here. I actually had ChatGPT just create me a quick index file so I didn't have to write it. So do more on it, index. All right, and just a quick file. It says title 8. Let's see. Now we have a little index here, and we're in PWD. We are in var ww html. All right. Let's go back to our web server and do a restart. Okay, welcome to Technology Bob. That's our exact index file now in that directory, in this directory here. That's exactly what this shows right here. So again, ls, and I can show you that that works if we do a mv ind, all right, to dot, little trick I learned. I used to manage a web server place for several, it was back in the early days when the internet was, but if somebody didn't pay, I would actually I'd actually just put a dot in front of their file system and it wouldn't show up. I didn't want to delete anything, but I was able to soft block it just by putting a dot in front of there. But if we do an ls now, of course you can't see anything because of the dot file. And if we go back to our server, right, and do a refresh, we're back to the test page, Apache test page. So let's go back again to our server, and we're going to do a move again, move dot index tab to index HTML. All right, and we should have our file back. All right, so the web server is now running. It's running what we want. We have a web server now. Now we're going to move on to MySQL. All right, we're going to install MySQL, and I haven't done this for years. In fact, for the last, since 2012, I was actually using Microsoft version of SQL in a different type environment. So I have not played with MySQL for a while, but it'll be fine. I have lots of years of database. Not saying I'm any good at it, I just had lots of years with it. Now that we have Apache installed, we need to move to MySQL. Earlier I mentioned that I haven't really worked with MySQL in quite a while. Most of the databases that I've worked on in the last 10 years have been Oracle and Microsoft SQL. The funny thing is, once you understand databases and SQL queries, most of them are actually pretty similar. Usually the queries only require small changes from one platform to another. Funny story, I remember one late night, I was trying to get a query to work. I couldn't get it to go for the life of me. I didn't know what was wrong. I looked at the tables, I looked at the joins, I looked at all the syntax, nothing. Finally, I gave up for the evening. But it bothered me so much I couldn't hardly sleep. The next morning, I come down to the computer, I opened it up, and in a few seconds, I immediately realized the problem. I had written the query for Microsoft instead of Oracle. That's one of the dangerous things when you jump between different systems for years. Eventually, they all start blending together in your head. Okay, just like before, we asked Google on how to install Apache. We're going to do the same thing for MySQL. And the reason that I switched to incognito mode, because I want to make sure, one of the reasons I'm asking Google is I want to make sure that you guys have the same information that I have. I don't want you to be surprised, like you watch my video and you sit down, oh, this ain't what Bob said, the Google says it's different. And which it might. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wrote the book, is that commands tend to change. It's AI, it's going to change, it's not going to look the same all the time. But anyhow, let's do that. Okay, how do you install MySQL on Rocky Linux. All right. We're going to do 9, I guess, because that's what it is, 9.7. And we'll get specific. All right. All right. Installing Rocky is what it says. Okay, install MySQL server. Fairly straightforward. So let's pull up our command line here. And we're just going to copy it over. All right. DNF install MySQL server. All right. Yes. All right. And once this is done, then we'll run the next command. In the past, you used to have to actually enter a password in it, which I think we'll probably will here. Let's just follow directions on Google. All right. And if the directions are messed up, we'll be able to fix them. All right. That's installed. Let's move on down. And it says enable. Okay. System control enable MySQLD. All right. Now we're going to turn the daemon on. It's creating a symbolic link there. You can start it. It should start it. Taking a while. Speed racer. Hello. Not being able to be enabled, I don't think. See what we got here. We're having an issue here. Not allowing this. Verify the service actually. So let's do system control status. I don't think it's running. In fact, it might be. Who knows? It looks like it's running. I don't know. We'll have to see if it starts. I mean, there could be something messed up here because something didn't finish. Let's check this. Let's go ahead and check this. Let's do an ls on this. Do a star. It actually has user lib systemd system. Run a security script to set up a root password, remove anonymous users, disable remote login. So let's do this. Secure installation. The securing MySQL to connecting MySQL data using a blank password. Validate password component. Can be used to test password and improve security. It checks the strength of password and allows the user to set only those passwords which are not right now. No. All right. New password. I got a password there and it says remove any anonymous users. As an anonymous user, allowing anyone to log into MySQL without having to have the user account created for them. This is intended only for testing and to make. Yes, remove them. All right. Disallow root login remotely. No. Which that's probably not a good one that you want to keep on, but we're doing a video here and we're going to test this stuff. I mean, later on, after all this is done, I will probably remove that so you can't do it remotely. Okay, remove test database and access to it. Press yes. No. Reload privilege table now. Yes. We're all done. How do we know it's working? I don't know. Let's check. Check with Google here. Now we need to go into, we're going to actually go into MySQL. And which this is a command line to get into it. So, all right. And basically what this is MySQL minus U for the root, and then minus P, it'll be a password. It'll ask me for a password. I'm in here now. And if you're not familiar with any commands in MySQL, if I remember correctly, we should be able to see the structure. This is why we're gonna install a program called phpMyAdmin, and we'll be able to get at this database and see everything on it. And it's so much easier than command line. In fact, I think we're going to do that before. Actually, that's the next thing we're going to need. We need to install PHP, and then we're going to install phpMyAdmin. Show tables. Error, no database selected. All right. So how do we see the databases? Is it show databases? Let's do a show database. All right. So we're going to exit out of MySQL. All right. MySQL is on there. Need to add the firewall. Don't forget the firewall, fellas, if you're running Rocky or CentOS or anything, because it'll mess you up. It'll trip you up all the time. Very important. Now let's go ahead and install PHP. Let's just change this and install PHP. Then we want to do phpMyAdmin next. Here's a whole script. su and df install php common, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's so much. But that's okay. Let's do that. Let's just copy this command. Basically, let's read through it. We're installing PHP, PH client, PHP common, PHP form, MySQL DD. Several packages. All right, this might take a while, maybe not. So why we're doing this? Why are we doing this? Well, the goal here is I want to set up a CMS Drupal, and I want to show you how easy it is. In fact, I want to. I like, because it's really nice to play with virtual things, or virtual web pages. So let's get system control enable PHP now. Let's see if we have PHP on here. So PHP-V. You're going to see the version. Yeah, then go back here again. Let's restart Apache. And I'm just copying these over. It makes it easier. You do the same thing. I mean, that's what this is for. Okay, we're going to need a web page. We want to create var. We want to create this file here, var w info php. All right, we're going to copy this. All right, we're going to create a file. Where are we at? pwd. All right. Yeah, so we're going to do a vi. What was that? Info php. Info. So we're just going to paste it. Info php, and then we're going to save it. wq. Now we should be able to run that command. Go into the web server and just open that and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's go back here to our other server. So technology Bob. And I think we should be able to just go into info PHP. Info PHP. So we should be able to info, I guess it would be info. Info.php. PHP is installed on this machine now. It's configured. Everything is running. Well, I don't know if everything is running, but we have all these packages on here, and PHP is on here. So now what we want to do is we want to install a package called phpMyAdmin. So we're going to go back to our server here, or our incognito thing, and we want to install phpMyAdmin. All right. Okay. To install PHP on Rocky, the most effective method is use the EPL Extra Package Enterprise Repository. DFE install EP release. I think we've done this, but we'll do it anyhow. Nothing to do. It was already done. I think it was done because there was a command I used that I needed. All right. We'll have to set up a password. I think you'll be really surprised on how easy it actually is to administer some of this stuff. We need to change, it says configure Apache for phpMyAdmin. We want to edit, open the configuration file. So we want to edit this file. So we're going to edit this file. We're going to do VI. Okay, locate the directory user share phpMyAdmin. User share phpMyAdmin, user share. Find the require local and change it to require local. All right, we want to go down here, require local, require all granted. All right, so we want to do an X, and do an A, all right, after the cursor, and all, okay, granted. Save it. So let's go back to directions here. Now we need to add some stuff to the firewall. Firewall's never done. That's already enabled. All right, but we're going to run the command again just to make sure, okay? Okay, come on. I mean, sometimes we have to do this twice. You know, you never know. All right, let's restart Apache again one more time. One more time. I say that in jest. That is it. phpMyAdmin. Yeah, it's here. This is phpMyAdmin. We are going to go in here as root and let us in. What we have here is we have access to the MySQL server and all the databases in here. We can create new databases. We can install packages, change stuff. There's so much that you can do here with the database. It is unreal. And to do all this with command lines is something. I mean, it can be done. In fact, I did it for years with just command lines. But everything can be managed here for the MySQL server. And it's an awesome tool. This is why I wanted to install it. This is why I want to do stuff. But I am going to tell you, though, we are today, what we have done is we have installed Apache, we installed MySQL, we installed PHP, and we installed phpMyAdmin. We're not even close to being done, but we are done for this week. So next time we're going to configure it a little further, probably create a web page, but I want to get Drupal on here. And I know I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to install Drupal, but we're about out of time. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you watching. Tune in soon as we rebuild the rest of this server. Thank you.